We all do it. We talk about the weather. It's the ultimate icebreaker, a way to connect with a stranger in an elevator or a neighbor over the fence. But this fall, the weather forecast is so much more than just casual conversation. It's a roadmap for the months ahead. It impacts everything from our daily commute to the price of groceries at the store. Knowing what's coming can help farmers plan their harvests. City officials prepare for potential storms. The energy grid that powers our homes and offices is incredibly sensitive to temperature swings. For those in the travel industry, from airlines to local tourism boards, weather patterns dictate everything. A beautiful, sunny autumn can lead to a boom in business for apple orchards and pumpkin patches. This year, the stakes feel even higher. We've seen a pattern of more extreme weather events globally, and understanding the outlook for our own backyards is essential for staying safe and prepared. For parents, it's about knowing if the kids will have plenty of mild days for outdoor play or if we need to brace for an early chill. To understand the weather in your neighborhood, we first have to look way out into the Pacific Ocean. The big story for fall 2025 is the developing La Niña pattern. Think of La Niña and its counterpart, El Niño, as a giant seesaw in the ocean that tilts the world's weather. This year, we're seeing the cool side of that seesaw. La Niña is characterized by cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. This might sound like a distant phenomenon, but its effects are powerful and far-reaching, influencing temperature and precipitation patterns across North America and beyond. This cooling of the ocean surface changes the air circulation above it, essentially rerouting the atmospheric superhighways. During a La Niña fall, the polar jet stream tends to be wavier and often shifts farther north. This allows colder air from Canada to plunge southward more frequently into the northern tier of the United States. Meanwhile, the southern part of the country often finds itself under a ridge of high pressure, leading to warmer and drier conditions. Another crucial factor we're watching closely is the state of the Atlantic Ocean. Sea surface temperatures in the main development region for hurricanes have been running exceptionally warm throughout the summer. Warm ocean waters are the primary energy source for tropical storms and hurricanes. This fall, the United States will feel like a country with two distinct personalities when it comes to temperature. The developing La Niña is expected to draw a rough dividing line across the nation. For the northern half of the country, the forecast points toward a trend of below-average temperatures. This includes the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies, the Upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes region. The cool shots will be more frequent and potent, likely leading to an earlier arrival of crisp autumn air and an earlier than usual first frost for many. In stark contrast, the southern half of the country is forecast to experience a warmer than average autumn. States from Southern California and the desert Southwest, across Texas and the Gulf Coast, and up into the Southeast are likely to see temperatures that are consistently above normal. For many in these regions, the wait for true sweater weather might be a long one this year. The transition zone, a band stretching roughly from the Central Plains through the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic, is where things get interesting and less certain. This region will be the battleground between the encroaching northern chill and the stubborn southern warmth. Residents here can expect a season of significant temperature swings, almost like weather whiplash. One of the most surprising areas in this forecast is the Northeast, particularly New England. While one might expect the La Niña pattern to bring cold air here, the influence of the incredibly warm Atlantic Ocean waters could act as a buffer. This creates a complex forecast for a region famous for its fall season, where inland areas could cool down much faster than coastal cities like Boston or New York City. Just as with temperature, the La Niña pattern will create a split personality for precipitation across the United States this fall. The northern jet stream track is expected to steer storms directly into the Pacific Northwest and northern Rockies. For states like Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, this points to a wetter-than-average season. This will be welcome news for a region often concerned with wildfire smoke, as the early arrival of autumn rains should help dampen fire season. However, it could also raise concerns for localized flooding, especially in areas with burn scars from previous fires where the ground is less able to absorb heavy rainfall. Moving eastward, that stormy pattern is forecast to extend across the northern tier of the country. The Great Lakes region and the Ohio Valley are also favored to see above-average precipitation. This could translate into a soggy fall for cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland. It also means an increased chance for some early season snowfall in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, as cold air masses begin to collide with this available moisture later in the season. Unfortunately, the forecast is not as optimistic for the southern portion of the country. The dominant high-pressure ridge that is expected to keep the South warm is also incredibly effective at suppressing rainfall. From Southern California eastward through the desert Southwest Texas and across much of the Gulf Coast and Florida, conditions are expected to be significantly drier than average. The one major wild card in this precipitation forecast is the Atlantic hurricane season. While the overall pattern suggests a dry fall for the southeast and Gulf Coast, a single landfalling tropical system can completely change that outlook. A hurricane or tropical storm can dump a season's worth of rain in just a day or two, turning a drought into a catastrophic flood. For the millions who cherish the brilliant colors and crisp air of a New England autumn, the fall 2025 forecast brings some intriguing news. The region is poised for what many would call a classic fall experience. The influence of the La Niña pattern suggests a good chance for those sharp, cool nights that are essential for triggering the vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows in the foliage. However, there's a significant twist in the tale, and it comes from the ocean. As we've mentioned, the Atlantic sea surface temperatures off the East Coast are running at near record highs. This immense body of warm water acts like a giant radiator, and its influence will be felt most strongly along the immediate coastline. While inland areas like the Berkshires in Massachusetts or the Green Mountains in Vermont will likely feel the chill, coastal cities from Portland, Maine, down to New York City may experience a milder version of fall. The ocean's warmth could moderate the incoming cold fronts, leading to fewer truly frigid days and potentially delaying the first hard freeze right at the coast. When it comes to precipitation, the Northeast is expected to be near average, but with a tendency toward bigger, more impactful events. These systems, known as nor'easters, could tap into the abundant moisture from the warm Atlantic. This creates a scenario where the region might have long, dry spells punctuated by powerful storms that can deliver heavy rain and strong winds, a familiar pattern for residents, but one to watch closely. The timing of the foliage peak will be a fascinating story to follow. The cool nights inland should kickstart the color change on a fairly typical schedule, beginning in late September in the far north and progressing southward through October. However, the coastal warmth could cause a delay in the color change for areas closer to the ocean. This could create a staggered and extended foliage season for the region as a whole. Get ready for an extended summer in the south and southeast this fall. The dominant weather feature for this entire region, from the Carolinas down through Georgia and Florida and across the Gulf states, will be a stubborn ridge of high pressure. This atmospheric setup acts like a lid, trapping warmth and humidity and deflecting the cooler, drier air trying to push down from the north. As a result, temperatures are forecast to be consistently above average for the entire season. September and even much of October could feel more like August, with many days of shorts and t-shirt weather. This pattern of persistent warmth also means a forecast for drier than average conditions. The kind of steady soaking rains needed to replenish soil moisture will be few and far between. This is particularly concerning for agricultural interests and for managing water resources, as existing drought conditions in parts of the region could intensify. The enormous caveat to this dry forecast is the ongoing threat from the Atlantic hurricane season. Fall is the peak of the season, and with record warm ocean temperatures providing ample fuel, the risk remains exceptionally high. A single tropical storm or hurricane making landfall could completely reverse the dry trend in a dramatic and dangerous fashion. These systems can bring life-threatening storm surge, destructive winds, and torrential rainfall, leading to widespread flooding. For this reason, every resident of the Southeast and Gulf Coast must maintain a state of readiness and closely monitor tropical forecasts through the end of November. The combination of these factors creates a season of contrasts. It's a reminder that beautiful weather doesn't always mean benign weather. If you live in the Midwest or the Central Plains, get ready for a roller coaster of a season. This region is shaping up to be the primary battleground between the different air masses warring for control over North America. To the north, the influence of La Niña will try to drag down cold Canadian air. To the south, the dominant high-pressure ridge will be pumping warm, moist air northward. This means the defining characteristic of fall 2025 here will be dramatic variability and sharp temperature swings. One week could bring unseasonable warmth, with temperatures soaring into the 70s or even 80s, feeling like a last gasp of summer. Then, a powerful cold front could slice through, dropping temperatures by 30 or 40 degrees in a single day, bringing a shocking taste of winter. This constant back and forth will make for a turbulent season. It also increases the potential for severe weather. The clash of these air masses is the perfect recipe for strong thunderstorms, especially early in the fall. These storms could bring damaging winds, large hail, and even a secondary severe weather season for parts of Tornado Alley. For precipitation, this active storm track points toward an overall wetter-than-average season. The collision of air masses doesn't just create temperature swings, it wrings out moisture from the atmosphere. The upper Midwest, in particular, is in a prime position to receive consistent rainfall, which will be beneficial for replenishing soil moisture after the summer. Farmers will need to watch for windows of dry weather to complete their harvest between these rain events. As we move later into the season, specifically in November, the conversation will shift from rain to snow, with the tendency for more frequent and potent cold shots. The upper Midwest and Great Lakes region have a higher than average chance of seeing significant early season snowfall. When that Arctic air spills over the still relatively warm waters of the Great Lakes, the potential for powerful lake effect snowbands will be high. So while the season may start with severe storms, it could very well end with residents digging out their snow shovels earlier than they have in recent years. The West Coast presents a tale of two very different forecasts this fall, largely split between the North and the South. For the Pacific Northwest, including Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, the developing La Niña is a welcome sign. This pattern typically directs the storm-bearing jet stream right into this region. The forecast calls for an earlier than usual start to the rainy season and above average precipitation overall. This is fantastic news for combating the wildfire season, which often rages through September. The arrival of these rains should help to extinguish existing fires and significantly lower the risk of new ones starting. However, this wet pattern also comes with its own set of hazards. The early and potentially heavy rains falling on ground that may have fresh burn scars can lead to dangerous debris flows and flash floods. The cooler than average temperatures accompanying this wet pattern will also bring an early snow to the Cascades and other mountain ranges, a great sign for the upcoming ski season and for building up the snowpack that is vital for the region's water supply. Moving south into central and southern California, the story is completely different and far more concerning. This part of the state, along with the desert Southwest, will be under the influence of the same high-pressure ridge. This points to a continuation of warmer and most critically drier than average conditions. For Southern California, this means the heart of the fire season will likely extend deep into the fall. The infamous Santa Ana winds, which are common in autumn, could combine with the dry landscape to create explosive fire conditions. The rainy season is expected to be delayed and potentially less potent when it finally arrives. This stark north-south split is a classic La Niña signature for the West Coast. It creates a challenging situation for water managers, where the north may be getting drenched while the south remains parched. Now that we've journeyed through the forecast, let's talk about what it means for you and how you can prepare. Knowledge is power, and being proactive is the best way to stay safe and comfortable this fall. First, let's talk about home preparation. For those in the northern half of the country anticipating an early chill, now is the perfect time to have your furnace inspected and serviced. Clean your gutters of summer debris before the autumn leaves and rains arrive to prevent water damage. And for those in the southern plains and southeast, don't put away that hurricane preparedness kit just yet. Keep it stocked and ready through November. Next, think about your car and your wardrobe. For everyone, but especially those in the Midwest battleground zone, embracing layers will be your best strategy for dealing with the wild temperature swings. Keep a jacket, a sweater, and maybe even a hat and gloves in your car. It's also a great time to check your vehicle's tires, battery, and fluid levels before the first real cold snap hits. Staying informed is perhaps the most critical step. Weather patterns can and do change. Make it a habit to check your local forecast daily from a trusted source. Have a reliable weather app on your phone that provides alerts for severe weather, floods, or freezes. This is especially vital for those in hurricane-prone regions or areas at risk for fall tornadoes. Knowing when a storm is coming gives you and your family time to get to a safe place. Finally, enjoy the season. A forecast is a tool, not a reason to worry endlessly. For many, fall is a beautiful time of year. Knowing that the Northeast might have a spectacular extended foliage season can help you plan that scenic drive. Understanding that the South will be warm, allows you to schedule more time for outdoor activities. By taking these simple, practical steps to prepare for the potential hazards, you free yourself up to safely embrace all the good things the season has to offer, from pumpkin carving to football games to simply enjoying the crisp autumn air.